Another B model, guys. All I was told was grab a main power relay, come to this truck. So let's check it out, see what we got. Well, not real sure what's going on. I simply just walked up and turned that master power switch on. We have power, so I'm not real sure why they told us to bring a main power relay, but I guess we'll get into it and check it out.
Well, somebody helped us out and took the back of the cab off. So let's get in here. Let's see what we got going on here.
Well, let's see what we got here, guys. Not real sure what the problem is.
Make sure we got a good ground here.
Alright, well, so we have a good ground. You guys can see that. But, look at our small lugs here. We got nothing on either of them. Right? So, if you look at it here, here's the new one they told me to bring. Now, I don't think we have a relay issue at all. Right? The way this works the exact same way as any other relay. So these small lugs, one of these is going to be power, one's going to be ground. If you compare that to a small relay, this would be 85, this would be 86. This is what your control circuit. One of these is going to have straight battery power, these big lugs here. The other big lug is going to be power out to everything else, computers, dashboard, whatever, right? So polarity doesn't matter on these. Basically, when you give one side of this power, one side of it ground, on the back side of both of these, it's like a button head style screw, almost like a carriage bolt on the underside. And if you can imagine, it makes a magnetic field, and there's this copper, a big copper washer almost, that slides up, boom, and just shorts these two together from the inside. It's just connecting this one to this one. Now those are only connected when this has, one side has power, one side has ground. So we have power, we've checked our ground, we have a good ground, but we don't have anything on the control side of this circuit. So I don't think we have a relay problem. I think we have a wiring problem. To verify, we're going to move our test light. We're on clamp to ground. Our test light's looking for power. We're going to move it to power, and we're going to check the ground side of this. Okay, we already know that this side is the battery power side. This one will have power all the time. Okay, we found the ground leg of our circuit. You guys see that? Yep. Here's the ground leg. This should be power. And look at it's ground. You can hear it hitting the relay. Can you guys hear that? I don't know if you can hear that clicking or not. But basically, so neither of these have power. These are both ground. So I wonder, and this looks new, but behind the cab they don't really get beat up a lot. Look at this one here, another main power relay. So, give me a few minutes here to investigate. I don't know if somebody's been here and has replaced this and hooked it up incorrectly, and without realizing that they did that, they said, oh, this one's bad, let's get another one. Or did somebody hook this one up to test to see if this one was bad and hook it up incorrectly? If you guys can see that one up there. Yeah, right here, another one. So give me a few minutes. Let me figure out what's going on. Now I have to be a crime scene investigator, if you will. But let me check it out, and I'll bring you guys back once I've figured out what we're trying to do here. So just looking, these black wires obviously are going to be my ground. Well, let's assume these are my ground. But look at here. We have a yellow wire and a black wire both going. So this terminal would be the one that has these two grounds on it, or we assume they're grounds. This one has a yellow wire and a black wire. So I'm wondering if that black wire should be on this ground leg over here and just got hooked up incorrectly. We're gonna mess around with that and we'll see what we got. I went down and turned off the master power already because we definitely don't want to start shorting grounds to powers, and you know, for obvious reasons. So let's check it out. I brought some little baby wrenches for working on a monster truck. Let's see what's going on here. Now, of course I would headbutt the light. That's why I wear a hard hat. Or did I headbutt it because I'm wearing a hard hat? That is the question. Uh-oh. Somebody got this one super tight. The whole stud is now spinning. Over torquing stuff. These only have to torque to like inch pounds. Now I'm wondering if we move this black wire to the other leg, so all of our grounds are on one leg, and polarity doesn't matter on this, right? Any side can be the power or the ground, doesn't matter. But each one has to be one. Obviously you can't have a power and a ground on the power leg of it. There's so much room too. Well, we're gonna take some of these ones loose, so I got room to spin it around and get in there to get that little nut on that one, on this one here started. All right, so here's where we're at, guys. I just moved that ground. Well, the one that we, this black wire, we moved that to the ground side of this relay. And now the thing to understand, guys, these two small pins on this style of a relay, now this is true also for the square relays, like that you would find under the hood of your car for like fuel pump or whatever, right? Legs 85 and 86 are a complete circuit, okay? You're gonna have power through a switch to here, or it has power all the time and the ground side is switched. Once you switch it, this is a complete circuit that then activates these as a switch. So I see this a lot. People have, you know, the wires on these small legs won't be, they won't be correct. And it's really not a difficult concept to grasp, right? Power through this coil of wire, which is connected to here, looking for ground. And there's so much wire in here, there's a high enough resistance that this is not a short. But that's the thing. Legs 85 and 86 on the square plastic style relays, or the two small legs, this relay is electrically and mechanically the same as the small relay. This one's just bigger, heavier duty lugs, means it can carry more amperage. That's the only difference here. But these two are a complete circuit. Power, ground. Polarity doesn't matter, you can change them, but one has to have power, one has to have ground. That's going to activate these. So all we've done so far is just corrected this wiring. We're going to put all these back onto the other lug here, and we're just going to test it and see what we got. Because like I said, I still don't really have any idea what we're doing here. I was just told, grab a main power relay, go check out this truck down in the Hall Road. So that's what we're doing right now. Alright, so we got the ignition switch in the cab turned on now. We have power here. We have nothing here. Our test light's hooked to ground. let's check this wire here. Okay, we got nothing there. We should have power on this wire right here with the key on. Then again, we could be looking at the wrong relay. This relay is also dead. And remember, we're hooked to ground right now, so we have a good ground. We're going to give it power. Let's check the ground side of our circuitry. Remember, we just moved that one wire is all we've done. Okay, we have a good ground. Now if I check this side here, remember we should have power on this wire. And we have ground on this wire. Okay? See, we have ground here. That's a... Listen to that. That's the reverse alarm. So, I want to go into the cab, and I want to look at that ignition switch, because we may have to get out the schematic and double check it, but if I'm not mistaken, this wire right here is coming from the ignition switch. When you turn the key on in the cab, it should power this up. We have ground here. We should not have ground there. So let's go check that out. One more thing, guys, before we climb out of here. We're going to test this out. So like I said, these are two separate, this is one circuit, it's kind of like a test light, power ground. That circuit's complete. We can test this, a quick and dirty test, by just shorting these two together. Because that's all that happens internally when you activate this. So we can do that, see what we have. You guys hear that? Got power to everything right now. As long as I hold this wrench on here. ECM's powering up. You guys see inside the cab there? Yep. So quick and dirty test. They said to bring a master power relay. We just checked it out. You guys just saw that. So what we need to focus on now is why are we not getting power to turn this relay on? Like I said, right now I'm not looking at a relay issue. I think we have a wiring issue. We're going to continue to dig into it until we can find the root cause. Another indicator, guys. We do have a circuit breaker here for the ignition. Now listen when I push it. You guys hear that? Now, watch when I turn the key back on to give the cab power. Where are you guys looking at right now? You guys hear it? Popped it immediately. So we're definitely in the right direction, looking for this ignition circuit and why that wire is ground when it should be power. So we're on the right track, guys. Alright, this is our ignition switch. Get you guys where you can see, right there. The underside of it. Okay. Okay. Nothing here. Nothing here. Okay, pop that breaker again immediately. Okay, so let's just look at our wiring here. See if we got it where we've chafed out. The problem most likely, I mean, it could be the switch itself. What we can do, we're going to grab a flat tip. We will unhook this yellow wire right here, this one. You guys see that? That's the one that I'm thinking is in question. That's the one that should go back to that relay. So if we unhook that, reset the breaker, key it up, and it doesn't pop, then we've figured out that it is this wire that is going to be our issue. It could also be a problem with the switch. You know, it could be one of these that either this yellow one or this one here that only get power when the switch is on. Internally, it could be shorted to this casing here. So we're not sure yet. We're just gonna keep digging until we find out what's going on with it. But right now, that's what we're gonna do for a quick and dirty test. We're gonna unhook this wire, reset the breaker, power it up, see if we still pop the breaker, so we can start isolating so we have a direction to go. Another quick and dirty test, guys. I've reset the breaker, ignition switch is off. Okay, we know we have power here. What we can do now, we can hook our test light clamp to here, and we'll check it across here to see if it has ground. That's still not going to isolate, or it won't let us know whether it's this leg of the switch or this leg of the wiring. But just as another quick test, we can do that. In theory, this is just a switch. There should be no ground going to anywhere on this. It should be only powers, or if it's a switch that's on the ground leg, then it should only be grounds. Look at that. Power here. Look at, we have ground right there. On this other one, where's it at? Down here. Okay, we got nothing there. Nothing there. So we have ground on this wire right now, and we should not. Now, I already got a screwdriver. We're going to take it apart, see what we got. Alright, check it out, guys. Nothing on that terminal. This switch so far is looking good. Let's verify. Yep. So we do have power still on the test light. Here's the wire. Look at that. This wire is chafed to ground right now, or shorted to ground. It could still be hooked up incorrectly, but the one that we messed with, we corrected. So it may branch off, maybe it goes to another relay as well. Let's get back there and start checking it out. Now we have a direction. This wire right here should have power only when this switch is turned on. It should never have ground. And we have ground. That's an issue. Now we have a direction. Show you guys this ignition. So it's this one right here. So from the very bottom left, up one, that's our ignition breaker. Okay? We're going to go back behind the cab. We're going to start tracing this wiring. We need to know, where is it getting ground from? It should not. Alright, so we'll check that breaker quick. Test light's going to ground right now, looking for power. Remember, from the left side, left bottom, it was up one, so it's this breaker right here. Okay, so we're good on the breaker right now. We're going to continue to look around, see if we can find where this wire's safe. Now the problem with using the test light is, right, I'm going to ground and I'm on power, but as long as I can see the light, I can continue troubleshooting, right? I can start shaking the wiring, tracing it out, following it along its path. But if I get to where you can't see the test light anymore, I don't know if we're going to need it, but I've made another contraption. I love making these tools. But basically, this is just an alarm. So you can plug this in. Let me demonstrate. It's quite loud and annoying. Right? Give it positive. This one we would hook to our ignition wire that's in question right now, because that wire has ground. But just to demonstrate. So that's awesome if you have a hard short, like say you put a fuse in the cab of whatever, anything, and it pops immediately. I haven't made the adapter for that yet, but just an adapter. You plug this in to that, you can now leave the cab. You'll hear that thing screaming, and you could be moving around the vehicle, grabbing, shaking, wiggling wiring, and when you hear that go out, you know you're in the right area. But anyway, just another little tip for you guys. Definitely make one of these. If you have any kind of a hard short, it pops a fuse immediately when you plug it in, then rig something like this up, because then when you plug it in, you're going to basically just plug it straight into that fuse socket. And this then becomes the load, so now it's not a short anymore. Does that make sense? You'll then trace it out when this goes out. Then you're in the right area, dig deep right there, and repair whatever you find. And then you can unhook this, replace the fuse, and it should be good to go. Alright, one more thing, guys. This is our wire in question right here. Trace it out. It goes into this loom right here. You know, it goes in right here. That only goes just a few inches. It goes into this main loom here, which is then running all the way across, going to all the computers. It's going everywhere. So we're gonna double check the schematic right quick. I know there's not another connector. In fact, I don't even think this wire actually leaves the cab area. I think this goes through this loom to the key switch in there. That's what I'm thinking. We'll double check it though, make sure there's not a connector. If there is a connector in here, then definitely that's where we want to go, start back pinning, and we can do some testing there. But I don't think there is. And if there's not, it's going to be much, much faster for us. We're just going to cut, we'll take this wire out of the equation, and we'll run our own wire. Single loom. I have a single wire with this real nice Caterpillar loom stuff on it. It's got Kevlar in it. It's quite resilient. But we'll run a single wire, new wire, alongside the harness, and that'll be much, much faster than trying to dig through all of this, trying to find the one spot where the wire's chafed to ground. But we're not going to give up immediately. We are going to dig around in here a little bit, but we're going to try to be quick and efficient about it. And if we don't see anything obvious, then we'll end up bypassing it. I'm hoping we do find something obvious though, because then this may not be the only wire that's in question. You know, we may have 3 and 4 more wires that maybe go to critical circuits that are right on the edge of also chafing and shorting the ground, which is going to cause a whole bunch of problems for the next guy. So, like I said, we'll check out the schematic. I'm pretty certain we're only in this area with no other connectors, and we'll see what we got. Alright guys, here's our key start switch. I know my camera kind of craps out when it comes to focusing real close on this fine stuff here. But here's our 308 yellow wire. Right? We got yellow, purple, orange, brown. But remember when we looked on the switch, yellow was the one that had ground. Let's trace it out quick. Okay, we got 2 of them. There's 2 legs right there. Got one of them comes out here. Goes to the start aid switch. Start aid switch. That's right there in that console area. 308 yellow. The other leg goes up here. See, we're right there. 308 yellow. Trace it around. Boom. Main power relay. I don't know if you guys can see this, but it's on the control side of it. It is on. Here's your control side right there. This is your power side. This whole thing is the relay itself. Okay, so those are the only spots. There's no connectors or anything. But definitely, let's check out this start aid switch and see if that is shorted, which is dragging our 308 yellow wire on the ignition circuit down to ground, causing it to pop our breaker. Alright, so a simple oversight on my part, guys. Test light's going to positive. Looking for ground. Right? So I guess I overlooked the fact that when I put it on this terminal right here, of course it's going to have ground because it's going through the coil of wire inside, activating and grounding through this side. So that whole time, you know, we may have been chasing our tail there for just a minute, but we caught it early. Now look at my wire here. This is the wire that's going to the ignition switch, not ground. So I'm going to go back in the cab, we're going to key it up, because we may have an issue where, I don't know if this is a new relay or not, but this might be, could be shorted. I don't think it is though, because I can hear it. And we're drawing current, you know, we're not, you know, if it, like this would be like if it was shorted, power to power, there's no path to ground. Right, but we're grounding through the coil of wire out this side over here, which is ground, which is why it doesn't activate. This is straight to ground, so it's not activating. I don't know if you guys can hear that faint click or not, but anyway, we caught it early, but that's how it goes, you know. You can overlook a few things. We'll make mistakes together, but more importantly, we'll learn together. So now let's double check it in the cab again. Alright, Well, so far that was a bust, guys. Right, we still pin it in here. We still have ground on this wire. Now we've unhooked it from the relay in the back. That wire is just sitting there, not touching anything. So, we need to troubleshoot. It could still be this wire that is chafed through and grounding out. But we still want to separate each one of these so we can try to figure out which of the wires is the one that's in question. But just wanted to show you guys that. So we're still heading in the right direction. But we just wanted to, you know, once I realized what we were doing, grounding through that relay, you know, we just want to do our checks and balances here. We're still heading in the right direction. We're still all right. But now we have to keep digging. Well, here's where we're at, guys. So we gave it a valiant effort. We've isolated each individual component one at a time. This one's in fact still isolated. Well, you guys can't even see it. Yeah, this one here, still isolated off that relay. Still short of the ground, so here's what we got. We've got the old crimpers and a hose pick, and this is that single wire loom I was talking about. It's just one pink wire inside of all this loom. So we're gonna run this wire from our relay to the switch inside the cab, and then we will verify our repair. We'll get all this stuff buttoned up as well, get it mounted back again. But anyway, that's what we got going on right now. Like I said, we gave it a valiant effort, but now it's taken too much time to continue trying to find the spot where the wire's blown out. So now, for just as a matter of efficiency, we're gonna run a new wire, get this truck back on the road. Alright, well, we lucked out, found a grommet here, lead right into the cab. So we'll just feed all this through, give ourselves about a foot of slack back here, get it hooked up to that relay, get all that buttoned up, and then before we put this cover back on the back of the cab, we'll go and verify our repair and crank this truck up, and then while it's running I can slap the back of this this cover back on quick, and that's it. We'll get this truck in the dirt. Alright guys, we got it all buttoned up. Let's verify our repair. See if we can power up the cab. Turn that AC off for a minute. Yep. That's it. How much air do we have? We may even have enough air to start it. I don't know if you guys can see that. This bottom gauge right here. Yeah, it looks like we may have enough air to start it. But we'll still get the back of the cab all buttoned up. Alright, we'll get this cover on, get her bolted up, and then we'll get this truck cranked up, and we will be good to go. New one in here. Just buttoned up, just finished this truck. This was the B model. Let's crank it up, man. Let's get this truck in the dirt. If we got enough air. See how much air we have. Yeah, we should be alright. There it is, guys. Nailed it. A couple errors popped up.